we have learnt what mixtures are and also studied their types. How can I separate a mixture of rice grains mixed with some grains of wheat? Handpicking? Yes, I can handpick and separate the two types of grains. But how will I separate rice grains which are soaked in water? You may say use a filter. Fair enough. Both these methods of filtration and handpicking were possible because of one main reason. Can you tell me what that is? The solute and the solvent in these mixtures could be distinctly seen by the naked eye. The grains of wheat and that of rice could be seen by the naked eye as they didn't dissolve in the solvent. These are examples of heterogeneous mixtures. But what about mixtures where the solute and solvent have completely dissolved to make a solution? Yes, I'm talking about homogeneous mixtures. An example is a solution of salt and water. Well, how do people get salt in the salt pans of a country? The answer is simple. Evaporation helps separate salt from water. When salt water is heated, the water molecules evaporate and salt is left behind. Let us take another example to understand the process of evaporation better. If I have a bowl of wet sand and I will leave it in the sun for a while, then the moisture will evaporate and leave behind only the sand. Now for something interesting. If I want to separate the components of a colloid like milk, then what process of separation can be used to separate the cream or fat from the milk? Yes, just milk is also a colloid. It has fat globules dispersed within a water-based solution. So how can we separate the fat from the milk? I can use an object called a centrifuge. What exactly is a centrifuge? It is a machine that has a container that rapidly rotates. What happens when a machine rotates at such a speed? The lighter particles are pushed outwards. Thus, fat separates out when we use a churner which also acts as a centrifuge. However, a churner will allow the cream to rise while the liquid components of the milk settle down. Centrifuge can also be used to separate the heavier plasma cells of the blood. Do you know a very common everyday usage of the centrifugal idea? Well, it's used in our washing machines to dry clothes. The sides of the container have holes. When clothes are spun at a very high speed, water is thrown out through the pores. Thus, clothes will then contain less moisture and in turn will dry faster. What is the concept of a centrifuge? The centrifugal container has an axis which will push all the water particles in a tangent due to centripetal force. What do we mean by the centripetal force? Centripetal comes from the Latin word centrum meaning center and pater means to seek. Centripetal force is a center-seeking force. When clothes move rapidly in a circle towards the center, the water in the clothes tends to move tangentially from the circle. This would mean that the water particles are pushed straight out through the pores. So now you know how the clothes in your machine dry very quickly. We will look at a few other methods of separation of mixtures in our further videos. Keep watching.